So this morning, I think there's no more appropriate way to kick us off than to talk about how we define our own success. And Chase Reeves is here to do just that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you hear me? Is this on? Oh, goodness gracious. I've been waiting for this for a long time. And now it's here, and I'm kicking off this whole thing. Thank you so much, Barrett, for... Love you, bro. So here's the deal. First thing I want to say, well, today I want to talk to you a little bit about how comparison steals your joy if you let it. And about how if we can trust our hearts a little bit, just a little bit, that can protect us from that joy getting stolen. But first, I want to say to you guys, you can do this. You are doing it. This thing that you're trying to do, this place that you're trying to go, the thing you're trying to build, you can do it. You are doing it. This is something that in one of our labors, a midwife said to my wife. There's a point at labor where it's called transition. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's right. It's called transition. And gentlemen, if you haven't been there before, I wish you luck. So you can learn about that on your own time. But it was during this phase that the midwife very firmly held my wife's face and close to hers and said, "You can do this. You are doing it." And it was one of the most it was all, yeah. It felt so fuck, we are going to do this. There is no way out. And I submit that you're a little bit in that place right now. You are going to do this. There is no way out. It might not be this one that you're working on right now. It might pivot and change. It might be a goal or a vision that is developing in you that you are still a little bit unaware of, because that's how vision works, right? It kind of grows over time, and then it comes out as you learn more. So you can do this. You are doing it. And comparison can really fuck this whole thing up. Theodore Roosevelt, I think, one of my favorite presidents, guy who could bring together both sides of the aisle back in the time when this was possible for America, guy who was a part of doing amazing projects for our country during some important times. This is what he said. He said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Comparison is the thief of joy. And I heard a story recently that really made me made this kind of come home for me, because it's something I struggle with a lot as well. There's this guy called Richard Alpert who later on became this really popular teacher. But before that, he was doing some flight training. He would teach individuals how to fly their airplanes and stuff. And he got this client who was super wealthy, super wealthy guy. Turns out he was actually the least wealthy in the family, some billionaire up here, and then the kids get 80 million or 120 million, and he got 40 million because he's just a cousin, So he with that 40 million, he got a jet, and he wanted to learn how to fly it. He hired Richard to teach him how to fly it. And they spent a bunch of time together and were practicing all the things that you practice when you're learning how to fly. And then one day, he had his first perfect day, which is perfect takeoff, perfect flying around and maneuvers or whatever, and then perfect landing in his jet that he bought. Ryan, let's pause here for a second, because this guy was beaming, just beaming, that feeling, when you've done something you've been planning on doing and you fucking nailed it, you just did it for the first time, right? I want to hear from you. I want to actually ask you, I want you to shout some of these out here from some of you guys. How do you, in your own life, what is that word for you? How do you describe that feeling? Let's hear some answers. Hell yeah. What else? What did I? Bam. What? arrived. What else? Bliss. Rock and roll. Satisfaction. Nailed it. That was 2 at once. You guys heard it. These are the kinds of things that we're talking about when we do a project like this, right? And we fucking do it. Bam. Nailed it. To me, it's like, it's exhilarating. I'm proud. I'm proud of myself, you know, when you nail this stuff. This guy was proud. He was nailed it. It was bliss. Back to the story. So he's taxiing back to where he's going, and as he makes this turn, his whole demeanor just changes. It's like his face gets tight again, and his shoulders sort of like tense up. What had happened was he saw the jet of one of the wealthier siblings, and he realized shit, that's right. I'm just a low man on the totem pole. Comparison can steal your joy, you guys. It really can. I mean, who resonates with that feeling, that experience, okay? And I think there's something to be said about how comparison also makes us better. It sharpens our knives in some ways, right? But we can go too far. This weekend, you're going to learn a lot of tactics and tips and tricks and hacks and all of these things that are going to help you get better. A little bit, they work by comparison, because that's how a little bit intelligence works like that, right? But there's this other thing I want you to start paying attention to and being fierce about. And it is that sense that you can have your joy stolen from you. And a little bit, your joy is what makes you so damn fun to buy products from, to read content from, to interact with in your business. Your joy is a little bit what makes you who you are when I'm paying attention to you online, okay? Now, start feeling it now. I want to talk about a couple ways that we can protect ourselves from that joy getting stolen, because I've just seen a lot of people lose themselves in it. And personally, I do too. I lose myself to this. The way you know this is happening to you is you're doing amazing stuff and you feel like shit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm doing amazing things and I feel like shit. And the question is, do you even recognize that you're doing amazing things? Because you probably don't. But people in your life are like, what do you mean? This is amazing, right? That's sort of the symptom that we're talking about here. And when I get like that, you know who pays that price is my son. My son is who pays for that. I mean, my wife and my baby girl as well, but right now it's my son. I want to bring my curiosity, my energy to my son. And when I'm moping around because she's making more or he made it look better or this, that, or the other, what I'm behaving like is like my friend's dad used to say, son, you're like a broke dick dog, you know? And I do. I feel like a broke dick dog. And I don't even know if that can happen to a dog. Do you know what I mean? So I don't want my joy to get stolen. So here's what I've found out about this. I'm just a fucking cosmonaut trying to figure this stuff out like you guys, all right? But what I found is this. Let's put it this way. You won't feel it then if you can't start feeling it now. The joy, the exhilaration, the pride, the courage, the bravery, the bliss. You won't feel it then if you can't start feeling it now. How many mountain climbers get to the top of the mountain and the only thing on their mind is like, is there a bigger one? Maybe that'll do the trick. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that'll do the trick. And I think that's how we pursue success. I want us to feel the thing we know we want to feel, because I think this is what you're in this for. That might be news to some of you. For other of you, you're like listening to signals from the universe and you're all this other shit, and you're like, I know, it's all about my feelings. I'm into it, you know? But some of us, we need to recognize that what we're really talking about when we're talking about success is the feeling of success. There is achievement, as in, I have an airplane, I learned how to fly it, but then there's the feeling of the thing. It's almost like gratitude in some ways. It's like realizing that you're doing the thing you said you wanted to do so long ago. It's both achievement and that feeling. So don't kid yourself. Success is actually a feeling you're looking for that has a lot of this achievement that comes along with it. And what I would be so fucking pissed off about is if I did the thing I want to do and I didn't feel that pride, that elation, that landing my first perfect landing feeling, right? That's really possible for us. So if you can't start feeling it now, you won't feel it then. And I want to talk about 3 of the ways that I've been playing with that have been really, really useful for starting to again, just listen to my heart a little bit. I'm not saying go sell the farm and wear the robes and, just go off into La La Land or something like that. I like this both and, achievement and feeling sort of way of looking at things. So the first thing is this. The first thing is you have to know how to define your own success. You have to make it yours. I think by nature, the world will make you feel like you want celebrity or money, some sort of recognition, some sort of achievement that the world signals to the world that you're the best, you're amazing, you're awesome, you should be respected, right? By default, that's sort of what we fall into. Unless you can define what you really want out of this. And I think the best way to do that is just write down, how do I want it to feel? How do I want it to feel? Again, just a little bit. We can ask this question, it's a big question, but this isn't gonna derail your whole life. I just want it to be this is like the piece of mint in a fancy cocktail. Do you know what I mean? This is the aromatics, which if you know much about cocktails, the aromatics are actually really, really important. It's barely an ingredient, barely. It's an orange peel that you twist over the top and rub it around the rim of the glass and just dip it in. But that's what makes a Negroni so damn good, okay? We have to define our own success. We have to grab it and make it ours, okay? If you want more on this, I've got to keep going here. There is a great Fizzle Show episode on this, episode 140, which Barrett is actually on, and it's a really good chat about this very thing, specifically for independent business builders. Because again, you guys, you can do this, you are doing this, and the thing that you're doing is you have total freedom in this thing. And part of what comes with that is if you mess it up, it's all on you. Right? And that's super scary. So I want us to be aware of what we're reaching for. And I don't mean list size. You know what I mean? That's true. Put that in there. But also, how do I want it to feel? How do I want it to feel? How do I want it to feel? Who the are you? I saved you that one. That would have been a little too intense. Who are you and what are you here for? What do you want out of this incarnation? Because it's all going to be over at some point. I always take it existential. I should stop there. Talk to me more about that stuff later. But, any of you who have loved and lost, any of you who experienced grief, any of you who have experienced the preciousness of life, it starts to work on you in a sense that's what the hell am I doing? Why am I, and I think that's why a lot of us are here. Why am I working this shit job? Okay? So how do you want it to feel? Just, again, the aromatics, a little bit. Trust your heart a little bit. The second thing is gratitude. All right. Gratitude. We're all hearing about gratitude. It's very hallmarky. You know what I mean? It's you should be more grateful for the things you have in your life. Have you ever thought about being more grateful? It's very it's gratitude. We hear it all the time. It turns out if you do a little research on the actual scientific research they're doing on gratitude as an effect that it has on your life. It's like profound. I won't get into it now, but it's really, really, really important. We're learning from a research perspective. You can actually kind of like jumpstart your heart by working with gratitude. And I do this every morning. And this has been the single thing, maybe besides meditation, that has made the greatest impact on how I feel about my work as I'm doing it. Not only is it helping me set up better vision for where I want to be, but how I feel when I'm doing the work means when I stand up on here, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm nervous, but that's fun. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm going like, this is so lucky. This is good. It's good that I'm doing this. I'm so pumped to be able to get to do this. That's called gratitude. Because if you can't feel it right now, you won't be able to feel it then. It's not about the next achievement that you're going to feel good about. It's about, can you feel good right now? And then let that fuel your achievement. And this is a way that nobody can take that shit away from you. You own it entirely. And I'm telling you for serious, this is the biggest work there is. This is the biggest work there is. You can create companies, you can do all this amazing stuff. The science of achievement. But the art of fulfillment is very different. And don't kid yourself, this is actually what makes it a great thing to be alive, all right? So 2 is gratitude. And if you want to see my big training on gratitude, I do have actually a really vulnerable, here's my journal, you can look at my training thing on Fizzle. It's free, fizzle.co/journal. And you can make fun of me on Twitter when you watch it, because you'll want to. Okay, then the third thing here is courage. Now this is the one that right now is starting to kick my ass. Let's put it this way, I've been talking with some really successful people that I admire a bunch. And you look at their business and their lives, and you're a little bit like, well, Jesus, why can't I do that? Why can't I just be more like this guy? This guy's got it together. Unbelievable. And then, as I get to know him, and we talk more, he has a fucking dream that he's afraid to pursue. And I'm like, I know that feeling. I know what that's like. Wait a minute. You're not feeling courageous about the work you're doing? No. But it's so successful and so many people are responding to it. I know. Because the heart wants what it wants, you guys. And you're just you're going to figure it out. Or you're just going to keep repressing all this shit, And it'll just blow up in binge drinking or something like that, God forbid, But the reason why we do this independent business thing is because we don't have to do that. We get to make the rules of our own lives because we have an email list and it works. What the fuck? Do you know what I mean? That's a big deal. That's here's the ladder of success, and you're like, no. Do you know what I mean? Just step off of it. And it comes down to this idea of how do I want it to feel? Because when you know you're feeling the way you want to feel, this is next level. This is vision, execution, all the things that you need become very different conversations, motivation, energy that you have for your family and for your work. Very, very different situation. It's stuff I'm just discovering, how hard I've been on myself. So the third point here is courage, because it's a nightmare to follow your heart. It's fucking scary, at least at first. But you need to have a dialogue with what feels courageous to you, because it's coming for you. And the more you can take, here's the trick of it, the more you can take you can go from 0 to 1 every day. You just do one, every day is one little cautious little step. You don't have to burn your website down and start a whole new one. Do you know what I mean? It's I don't know what domain to put it at. It's the whole time you're just okay, right? Just because you know how to buy domains doesn't mean that's the right step right now, okay? There's only 2 numbers, 0 and 1. That's it. Make it a 1. Make it a 1, right? This is courage. And I'm talking about listening to your heart. And Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung, they put it in terms like this. You are on a quest. there is a dragon, and the question is, are you continuing to make the human sacrifices to the dragon to quell it so it doesn't ruin your village? Or are you getting to the point where you're like, I'm just teaching my son to make sacrifices to this goddamn dragon, and he's gonna teach his son, and he's gonna teach his son. At a certain point you go, fuck it. Let's start our quest. Let's get on to the quest. And following your heart is a lot like that. I really appreciate you guys for listening to me. I really appreciate you guys for building independent businesses and working from your hearts. And I hope you can find some of the bravery and courage to listen to your heart just a little bit, because you won't feel it then if you can't start feeling it now. Thanks so much, guys. I've been Chase Reeves.